It'll be Faye and Stewart for the tip-off. Faye will win it for the Panthers, who start in possession with Brooklynn Miles. Washington's one of the returners to the roster, dips to Elmore, back out to Johnson. Johnson drives with the left hand, short jumper doesn't go down, and Delaware State able to bring in the rebound.
Yeah, that was a nice initial offensive possession there for Pitt. Didn't rush their shot off the tip. Got a nice shot off of Michaela Johnson, who's coming off a double-double, the first of her career.
Cottingham, the running jumper doesn't go, and the Panthers going back the other way quickly with numbers. It's Miles and Johnson. Johnson takes the pass and once again unable to roll it in off the glass. Michaela Johnson, one of the newcomers to this team, the redshirt sophomore from Anchorage, Alaska, played at Colorado for a couple years before transferring in prior to the start of the season. Stewart at the top of the key, off to Cottingham again. One-on-one with Johnson. Nice outside pass there. As Stewart comes up short off the glass. Second attempt goes down, though, and those are your first points of the game from Delaware State. Pitt working quickly the other way.
Yeah, that was a beautiful power move there by Faye, knowing she has the block one-on-one with Nala Abraham, and a nice move there to get 2 for Pitt.
Khadija Faye with her first point, scored 25 in the season opener against Canisius. Has one of her 2 double-doubles in that game as well, as that one goes down for the Panthers. That's Elmore, the transfer from Clemson, someone who's familiar in ACC play. Started 28 of 31 games last season for the Tigers.
Yeah, that's a big pickup for Coach Tori Verdi. Having someone that has experience in the ACC, as competitive of a conference is for basketball. So bringing Michaela to this group is definitely going to help Pitt when it comes to ACC play.
Fast-paced game, both sides. Elmore tries it again from deep, but misses short this time. And it's something we'll talk about a little bit throughout the broadcast is Coach Verdi bringing in these other, like you said, power conference players who have the familiarity with playing at the level that Pitt is trying to sort of elevate their program to. They've hit a couple road bumps along the way over the last couple years, but still trying to sort of build that program in his second year at the helm.
Yeah, I know last year, obviously first year in the helm, it's never going to be exactly how you hope it would go. And I know, recruiting process was a little bit tough there for Coach Verdi. Had some players that he thought was coming with him, decided to go elsewhere. But this year, first full year at Pitt, after the first full year at Pitt, bringing in Kentucky transfers, Clemson transfers, definitely a better recruiting class for him.
7-0 run for the Panthers after Delaware State took a 2-0 lead early on. Faye leading the way with 4 points, Elmore trailing close behind with 3. Talked about the three-point shooting of Delaware State coming in. They're 0 for 2 from beyond the arc so far, 1 for 6 from the floor so far today. Washington's top of the key, lot of room to work. Straightaway 3 goes off the back iron and out. Offensive rebound, though, goes back to the Panthers. Miles will regather at the top. Faye with 10 on the shot clock, leaves from Miles, who finds a gap and drives quickly to the lane and picks up a couple more.
Speaking of transfers there with Brooklynn Miles from Kentucky, started at Kentucky, so you're bringing in a great transfer, and she read that perfectly. Perfect execution, easy bucket for Pitt.
Miles spent a couple years at Tennessee as well before transferring to Kentucky, and then now here to Pitt. Just under 6.5 to go in the first quarter of play. Back to the corner with Lane, who drives with the left hand and is stuffed inside the paint. Shot clock violation there for Delaware State, and the Panthers have been very strong defensively so far.
Yeah, they have a little bit, we talked about a little bit pregame, Zach, how not the tallest team Pitt has, but in this game today, they definitely have the height advantage out on the court, and they're making it show. They're being strong. They're using their length to their advantage and forcing Delaware State to move the ball around and take a shot that maybe is not ideal for them.
Something that Coach Verdi talked about a lot last year when we got to talk to him was defensive effort and just being able to control what you can control, that being the effort of play. And it gets tough when you play these ACC teams nationally in the top 10 and things like that. But when you're a team like Pitt, we're kind of searching for that next step as a program, that sort of effort and instilling that culture is going to be critical in these early days for Coach Verdi.
Yeah, and that was something he stressed a lot last year. Practice how you play, right? They practice very hard in the days leading up to these games and wanting that to translate into gameplay, right? Limit the turnovers. Like you said, control what you can control, and so far today, they're showing that.
Foul go on Cottingham there as Pitt will take possession again. Washinet's one-on-one with McElrath. Washinet's goes baseline, pitches back outside. Miles with some room, and she drills the three.
Just great ball movement there by the Pitt Panthers, taking that extra pass, right? Johnson could have easily shot that three from the corner, made that extra pass, and
Delaware State a whole lot of room to work, specifically talking about Mahogany Cottingham as well, coming in top 5 nationally in three-point percentage, and she hasn't had much to do at all so far.
Yeah, she's averaging 16 points a game on this season so far, not on the scoreboard yet. But that's Pitt. They're playing long, right? They're playing big and tall, and they're forcing Delaware State to work that ball around, draining the shot clock, and they're just getting good stops. And, rebounding is a big piece of that. Pretty even so far today, but Pitt with the size advantage, and it's showing on defense.
Delaware State trying to look for some answers here. Three goes up from Cottingham there, and she finds her first one of the day.
She just needed that extra motivation from us, right, Zach?
The classic announcer's jinx. Miles in possession, the leading scorer in the game so far with 5 off to Washinet's. Shot clock bleeds down to 10. Washinet's still in possession, trying to give to Faye, but that deflected and out of play with just over 5 to go in the first quarter. Cottingham and Stewart, the only scorers for Delaware State so far. On the Pitt side of things, you have Miles with 5, Elmore with 3, and Faye with 4. Johnson with 5 on the clock. Off the iron, really good offensive rebound there from Faye, and she puts it right back in.
Those offensive rebounds are critical, and Faye coming into this game is averaging 3rd in the ACC in offensive rebounds, and she showed it there, right? Using her size to her advantage and getting a nice putback for Pitt.
A Pitt team that loses Leah King, one of the better offensive rebounders in the country. As this one goes off the glass and in from Rubio Ramolar.
And on the previous possession, Zach, you mentioned kind of the balanced scoring so far for Pitt in this game, and that's going to be huge for them as Marley Washinet's adds to the board as well with a 2-pointer there. But last season, Leah King, you mentioned, right? She's doing a lot of the scoring for Pitt. Coach Tori Verdi putting a lot on her shoulders, and she executed for sure. But it'll be nice to see maybe a more balanced Pitt offense here with everyone contributing.
Maybe a little bit of the reverse announcer's jinx there as Washinet's becomes the 4th Pitt point scorer so far in the first quarter. Short jumper, but off the ball foul called offensively that time on Stewart.
And that's Marley Washinet's doing what she does best, right? Coach Tori Verdi, that's an important part of his starting lineup, is Marley's out there for her defense especially, right? She was leading the team in charges last season, and they're taking a nice offensive foul.
Close press being played that time on Johnson, who had to call a timeout in the corner. 16-7 lead for the Panthers. They've made 4 of their last 5 from the field. Delaware State trying to get a little bit of momentum here in the first quarter as well. They've made the last few field goals too, trying to, rebound from that falling behind early. You get behind early on the road against a team like Pitt and a power conference team, and it's sometimes tough to dig your way out of it, but Delaware State sort of trying to make amends for those first few minutes of play.
Yeah, it's a long basketball game, right? And that was something we talked about even with this Pitt team last year, was they struggled initially out the get-go, right? Getting down and then having to claw their way back in the second half. I think the third quarter was the best quarter they played.
Yeah.
But obviously adverse today, right? Pitt on the scoreboard, getting out to that hot start, and hopefully that continues, is a trend that continues on this season.
Washinet's off to Elmore, down to Faye again, who can't handle the pass, but able to save it into Johnson. Elmore, straight away 3 off the mark. Foul called on the floor against Faye, who is making some noise down low so far. 2 offensive rebounds for her, also draws the foul there, along with her 6 points, which leads the game. Johnson. Off the mark again there as the Panthers do lose possession. Pitt shooting 7 for 15 for 40% from the floor so far.
Seeing Aisla Malcolm and Aaron Battle check into the game, getting their first minutes today. Battle's been coming off the bench, someone we talked about a lot last season, right? Freshman season, great recruit. Showed a lot of potential, and she's averaging almost 9 points a game so far early on in this season from the bench.
Another nice defensive play from Faye, able to stuff that one, and then the Panthers going after the loose ball, and they will retain possession with Battle. Battle looking for Johnson that time and turns it over. Pitch outside jumper from Lawrence is long and will go out of play. Going back to the point you made with Battle and Malcolm as well, 2 players who, like you said, got some playing time last year, maybe got acquainted to the power conference level of play that Pitt will be playing at later this season, and you feel like they can both sort of take the next step in their development this year.
Oh, for sure. From the Aisla Malcolm side of things, freshman year here at Pitt, right, not getting a ton of minutes, and then almost started virtually every single game last season, right? So big jump and uptick for her. So now that she has 1 full year of ACC play under her belt, excited to see what she does this season, especially from the 3-point arc.
Battle holding with 15 on the shot clock. Malcolm, there is the 3, and that comes up short. Faye again there for the rebound. Unable to put it in that time, but she's able to recover again. Loose ball on the floor. As the possession error will favor the Panthers. Excuse me, I think they were going to call a foul there.
Nice hustle play there by Faye, trying to make the most of the possession there. Not so sure if I like that shot by Aisla Malcolm, right? She's got coming in and got a hot hand, right? So far 6 for 10 from the 3-point arc coming into this game, but kind of a contested shot, right? She had Delaware State guard right in her face. Would have liked to kind of work the ball a little bit more before we're taking that early 3-point shot.
So it will be a held ball. Panthers have missed their last 4 from the field. Delaware State now within 7. Cottingham. Nice move there to get around Malcolm. Uses her speed to get down to the block and just rolls in and out that time.
Those are tough. Those are ones that you want to see fall. Nice move there by Cottingham, showing why she's averaging over 16 points a game. Just tough break there.
Talked about her ability from beyond the arc, but also she's able to get down low with her speed as well, so showing her ability to be a multi-dimensional player early on. Here's Lane. Once again, Panthers able to get their hands up and get the block out of play. A little bit over a minute and a half to play here in the first quarter. Lane again on Malcolm, takes the contested jumper, and that one rolls in. First 2 points for Lane as Delaware State cuts the deficit to 5.
I like the pressure on defense Delaware State's coming out with, right? Not so much a full court press, really half court pressure there, but it's just giving, you know, Pitt is doing a good job getting it up the floor, but Delaware State slowing down this Pitt offense.
Saw the high press earlier, forcing Pitt and Johnson to call a timeout at around half court. Showing it again there.
Yeah, just a little bit of miscommunication there, it seemed, between Johnson and Elmore.
One of the areas that Pitt's going to want to improve on next year, a few too many turnovers, especially in the mid part of the season where they started ACC play at the end of out-of-conference play as well. The turnover numbers just got really elevated throughout that middle part of the season, and something they're trying to sort of fine-tune, especially going into that harder part of the schedule, as we talked about earlier as well.
Right, and that's what Coach Troy Verdi, that's something they can control, right? You know, is they're taking care of the basketball. That's #1 in the game. So definitely something they're working on. And even Bennington last game they played, they had a lot of turnovers early on, so they had to claw their way back, and that's you never want to put yourself in that situation.
Another offensive rebound from Faye. That's her 5th. Miles. Quarterbacking this Pitt offense at the top. Showing some speed there and gets the roll in. That's 7 so far for Miles. She has looked really good.
That's the second time they've run a play like that, right? With one of the forwards setting a screen at the top of the key there. You had both forwards come up. Miles was able to kind of pick her side there and had a free lane to the basket.
Miles coming into this game 1 for 14 from the field. She is already 3 for 3. 3 from Lane. First 3-point field goal for her. She's up to 5 points. Delaware State 2 for 4 from beyond the arc. Battle off to Faye again, who makes a nice move on the block and finds some room to work. She also has been very good so far for the Panthers.
Yeah, nice move there.
Well.
Yeah, Tori Verdi picking up a great grad transfer in Faye, right? A lot of D1 experience coming from Texas and Texas Tech, as you mentioned, and just getting on those offensive boards, using her size to her advantage. And offensive boards mean second chance opportunities, and that's great for this Pitt squad.
Unable to find the basket there, though, on their first possession of quarter number 2. McElrath holds at the top for the Hornets. Getting off to Cottingham. Foul that time goes on Malcolm, as Lane was looking to drive. Delaware State shooting 35.3% from the field, 2 for 4 from beyond the arc, so that MO has kept true so far.
Yeah, and those are one of those fouls that you just don't want to see, right? Second foul now on Asa Malcolm, forcing her to go to the bench.
Up top, another nice play down low from Faye. Faye again finds Battle. Trying to dish to the corner, but the whistle blows, and Delaware State will pick up a foul of their own. The Rubio Remolar with her first of the day.
Yeah, nice try there by Aaron Battle with that baseline pass. I would have liked to see Faye came up and set that screen for Battle. Would have liked to see a nice pick and roll there. Faye using her size, going straight to the basket, maybe had a better opportunity for Battle on the pass there.
Nice play by Lawrence there to deflect the pass as she picks up the turnover, and the Hornets go the other way. 3 goes down that time from Cottingham. That's her second, and she's starting to roll a little bit in this first half. Got the hand in there, but Miles trailing and able to retain possession for the Panthers.
Yeah, Cottingham finally settling into this game there. Nice. That was a nice three-pointer in transition, something Delaware State hasn't done much so far in this game.
Faye going to work again down low. She's already up to 10 points and has 7 rebounds on double-double watch very, very early in this one.
She's practically almost averaging a double-double so far in this season, and I don't foresee that changing for Faye.
Here's Lawrence. One-on-one with Miles, dishes off to McElrath, who misses long. Panthers going the other way now, looking for Johnson in transition. That pass a little bit too short, though, and now another chance for the Hornets. Lane, McElrath, 3 goes down that time. Delaware State 4 for 7 from beyond the arc. Johnson. Offensive foul that time. Delaware State really getting a lot of momentum here in the second quarter, have cut the deficit down to 2.
Yeah, Faye's kind of doing it all for Pitt there, as you saw that basket, but story so far has been for Delaware State here since the start of this second quarter, right? Coming in under fire, finally having that three-pointer fall for them.
Pitt went on a 12-0 run early in the game. We're up by 10 at one point, but that lead has shrunk all the way down to 2. And that's the thing about being a three-point shooting team like Delaware State is you have the ability to get back in the game very quickly if you get hot from beyond the arc, and that is exactly what they have done so far.
You mentioned it earlier, Zach, you're never out of it, right? Having that mentality. You don't want to get down too far. They kept the deficit within reason, and here a couple three-pointers, and they're back in the game.
Another whistle blows. That time the foul will be on McElrath, her first. Excuse me, that'll be her second.
Would like to see Pitt get a nice, solid offensive possession here. Seems like the past couple offensive possessions they've have been a little bit sloppy, not waiting to get that, either wide open look or, not as contested shot. So looking, as you see, Faye
continuing to get space down low, but off the mark with a shot that time. Marley Washenitz has to come back from the other side of the court to receive that pass after the offensive rebound. 13 to go on the shot clock, and another whistle blows off the ball. A lot of whistles early on in the second quarter.
And most of them off the ball fouls as well. Which if you're either coach, those are the ones you don't want to see.
Pitt will inbound with a fresh 20 on the shot clock. Another errant pass from the Panthers. The turnovers being the story so far for Pitt, as that one goes off the glass and out. Trying to get the point in transition was McElrath, but off the mark there.
Yeah, Panthers got a little bit lucky there. It's just kind of a sloppy inbound pass, and those aren't meant to be difficult, right? Delaware State doing a good job defensively on the inbound, but usually that overhead pass should be a routine pass to get the ball in play.
8 of those 20 Delaware State points have come off of the turnovers, of which Pitt has 6. Miles off to Washenitz, who misses long. Pitt now with 3 turnovers in the last 2 minutes of play as well. Driving, nice pass there for Lawrence, who was just outside the block and is able to make the short jumper there to tie the game. Faye trying to go again down low, but is fouled that time. Pitt has not scored a point in the last 2 minutes and 23 seconds, as Delaware State has done a really nice job of working themselves back into this one.
Yeah, that was a great look there by Michaela Johnson, but this is the Pitt team that kind of you talked about last season, right? Moving it up and down the court, in transition fairly quickly, not getting the looks they want. Started off this game in the first quarter, setting up their offense, getting that second, third look. That's what we need to get back to.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit out there, and you were mentioning how the patience of the Pitt offense was kind of what got them out to that lead early on, and it seems like they may have lost a little bit of that between then and now.
Yeah, Delaware State obviously picking it up on offense.
Faye
struggling to answer.
Faye hits her second to bring it to 12 points for her in the early going. Here's Barnes, first time into the game for her, swinging around the horn. Out to Lane. Ten seconds on the shot clock. Driving, and another turnover for Delaware State. That's their 7th. An issue for both sides so far early on. Washenitz, nice pass there to Elmore, who misses on the short jumper. Panthers can't get anything to fall in the last 3 minutes. Lane passes down low for Rubio Remolar, who gets the jump, and Delaware State will stay in possession with the possession arrow. Bella Perkins will check in for the Panthers, as Elmore will come out. So a bit of a sloppy second quarter so far for both sides, but Delaware State has brought the game back within 2. And open down low on the block, Rubio Remolar. A bit of a defensive lapse there for the Panthers, ties the game once again.
Yeah, it seemed to be some confusion there on the sub, who was coming in for who. And that was way too easy of a bucket for Delaware State.
Perkins holding, taking the screen from Johnson and off to Miles. In the corner, Washenitz tries the 3 again and does so successfully that time. Washington's up to 5, her first 3-point field goal of the game.
Yeah, 3 balls not normally Marley's game, but nice to see her come up big there for her team.
3 3-point field goal attempts for her so far, more than we're used to seeing at this point in the game for sure. 3 goes up and down that time from Barnes, the newly checked-in player for the Hornets. And we are once again tied at 27, Delaware State making their last 3 shots from the field. Perkins, nice pass to Johnson, top of the key, the 3 off the mark again for the Panthers, but yet again, Faye on the rebound, and she misses the follow-up. Game moving pretty quickly now on both sides as Delaware State finally slows it down a little bit with 17 on the shot clock.
Yeah, much different second quarter than what we saw in the first quarter.
Lane with 7. Nice play from Washington to strip that ball away, and Pitt's got a 2-on-1 with her and Miles. She gives off to Miles, who banks it in. Really good play that time from Marley Washington, picking up the assist as well.
Yeah, great read there by Marley Washington, right? Made that still look pretty easy in finding the wide open Miles. That's much needed. We're talking about plays like that change the momentum. That could be one there for Pitt.
Miles 4 for 4 from the field, 9 points for her. Nice move that time from Lane on the step back, but that one doesn't go either. 2-point lead now for the Panthers. As we hit the 3-minute mark in the first half. Not a lot of stoppages in play in the last few minutes here. Perkins, 5 to shoot. Washington's going to have to shoot the 3 again. That time comes up short, but Faye there for the rebound, and once again the follow-up is missed. Feels like we've seen that a few times where Faye gets the offensive rebound, but just can't finish the deal inside the paint.
Yeah, she's working really hard, both offensively and defensively, right? Getting those rebounds, and those are ones that, you know, for all the hard work she's putting in under that paint, you'd like to see those fall.
Jumper off the back iron and out. Washington's to Miles. Looking for the screen from Johnson as Washington's Faye goes back to Johnson. Risky pass there, but successful nonetheless as the whistle will blow again.
Yeah, and we knew coming into the game that was their bread and butter, right? Shooting 40% on the season coming into the game. Started off a little bit cold, but man, did they pick up. And it always seemed to happen when Pitt had a turnover on the offensive side. So when you have a turnover, you're not scoring on the offensive end, and then your opposing team is putting up a 3-pointer every time they come down the court, that's tough to compete with. And it's not just one person, right? Cottingham, obviously 2 for 3 from the 3-point arc, but it's coming from various players on the Delaware State.
When you come on the road like this and of an environment like this against a Power 5 team where maybe you're considered the underdog coming in, you want to take advantage of those opportunities that you get, and Delaware State has done just that early on.
Yeah, and you mentioned, right, coming into a building not packed with the usual fans today. We got about 3,000 students here for a school day, but obviously still coming into a bigger building, right? Maybe some early game jitters, but finally seeming like they are settling into this game.
Perkins takes it away this time, quickly working her way into the paint and gets the lay-in to bring Pitt to a 6-point lead with a minute and a half to go in the first half.
Nice to see Pitt pick up the pressure on defense, right? Moving their pressure up half court plus a little bit of half court. And Bella Perkins doing a great job there.
Something we saw from Delaware State earlier on, that high press, and it seems like Pitt is employing it here towards the end of the first half. Another 3 off the mark. Pitt on a 6-0 run in the last 2 minutes and change. Miles slowing things down as we hit the minute mark in the first half. Corner, Washington's the 3 again. Misses long.
Yeah, I like the idea there by Pitt working the shot clock down, right? Not a lot of time left in this second half. Would have liked maybe one more better pass to see if we can drain that clock a little bit more.
Not sure anyone would have had Marley Washinetz leading the way in 3-point field goal attempts coming into the game, but here we are towards the end of the first half. She has 5. 5 on the shot clock for Delaware State, who can't seem to find an open look in the last few minutes. Shot clock goes off for the Panthers, but they work quickly nonetheless with Elmore down in the paint, who draws the foul.
Hornets foul number 0 for Barnes, her second.
So a 6-point lead for the Panthers due to that 6-0 run over the last 3 minutes and 15 seconds as Elmore goes to the line to look to extend it before the break. Makes the front end. Pitt 5 for 5 from the charity stripe so far. Delaware State yet to shoot a free throw. And make it 6 for 6. Shot clock still off for the Hornets. 12 to go in this first half of play. Panthers continue the high press, looking for the turnover here in the final seconds, and they will get it.
Yeah, 10-second violation there. Great job by this Pitt squad, knowing not much time left in the half, right? Knowing they were, a little too close of a game probably for their liking. Pulling up the pressure on this Delaware State squad and getting turnovers on back-to-back possessions.
That's a few times we've seen Washinetz and Perkins forcing the pressure up top. Elmore gets the 3 block. Johnson trying to recover in the final seconds, but she is unable to get a shot off. And we will head to the break. Pitt up 35-27 at halftime here from Pittsburgh. So a lot of room to still go there, and she's played well so far. And we talked about it a little bit off camera as well. Her being able to finish those opportunities down low can really open things up for the Panthers, because we've seen her get those offensive rebounds. Just the last aspect of finishing it off has been a little bit of an issue so far for her. Could you write more of a jinx than that as Faye?
I was listening to you, Zach. And that's the thing, too. Having a double-double coming into the second half and shooting 5 for 10, which isn't bad.
Yeah,
50%,
no, not at all.
But you just think so many of those were just in and out buckets that if, even 2 more of those, right, what is that doing for this Pitt squad?
6 for 11 now. Faye with 14 points in that double-double that we mentioned as well. She is playing really well down low there for the Panthers. Delaware State off to a slow start in this second half of play, as the Panthers now have a 10-point lead. Mentioned Faye with those 14. Miles also with 9. 1 for 14 coming into the game for her, and she has made her only 4 shots of the game to pick up those 9 points, as another foul is called here.
Yeah, it's nice to see Miles get on the stat sheet, right? Your point guard, not necessarily super important, right? Her job is to command that offense, drive that offense, but it's nice to see her finally get her shot down tonight, and hopefully that pays well moving forward as they head for a tough little road stretch after Saturday.
Maybe something to keep an eye on as well, as Rubio Romolar works her way up to 3 fouls now. It's been sort of a fixture down low so far for the Hornets, and getting into a little bit of foul trouble here early on in the second half.
Yeah, they started freshman Nala Abraham coming off a Rookie of the Week award, right? So making her way into the starting lineup. But early on, it just seemed like a little bit of a mismatch for Faye. So putting Cersei in there to try and manage Faye a little bit, but not great with her with 3 fouls.
Faye 4 for 4 now from the free throw line. Panthers 8 for 8 as a team. They have been very efficient so far from the charity stripe, as they are now up 12 here, just under 9 to go in the third quarter.
She's everywhere on the court, Faye,
yeah,
isn't she?
Done a really good job defensively, too. We've talked about her offensive stats, but also doing a really nice job down low and locking those Hornets down on the block. Miles. Ten seconds to work for her. Elmore, that time going through the hands of Faye and out of play.
Yeah, that was a great look by Elmore there at the top of the key. Looked like Faye a little shaken up on her hand, maybe just hit the wrong spot on her hands, made a little stove finger there.
Both teams shooting 38% from the field. Delaware State 11 for 29, Panthers 14 for 37. Another turnover here for Delaware State. They're 12th, as that is becoming a growing issue for the Hornets.
And that's all on Marley Washnitz, right? We've seen her play as Brooklynn Miles continues to heat up from the field there with another three-pointer. But give credit there to Marley Washnitz, right? Playing stingy defense here so far in this game. She had the trap in the corner there that caused the turnover for a wide-open Brooklynn Miles three.
Panthers with another forced turnover there as Miles holds again, and the Panthers starting to strengthen their grip on this game a little bit. Open chance for Johnson from three, and that one goes down. Johnson with her first field goal of the game, up to 5 points for her, and the Panthers are running away here in the first half. And looking at the bigger picture a little bit too, you're trying to replace a player like Leah King, who was just so good for this team, and we see a lot of similarities between the two players in the early part of the season.
Oh, for sure. Faye, obviously, size-wise, she's a little bit more size than Leah does, which I think bodes well for this Pitt Panthers team. But very similar tendencies, right? Leah King played hard, was great defensively and offensively, but something even early on last season, Leah kind of struggled with those putbacks, right? Just not finishing as much as she would like and the team would like. And that's something we saw early on a little bit in this game with Faye, but if she can start finishing those baskets, she's going to be in double-double watch every single game.
Did so early today, picking up that double-double before the end of the first half. Now up to 16 points and 12 rebounds for her, as Delaware State still can't seem to find it from the field, especially in the start of the second half where they are still scoreless since the break.
Yeah, getting a little pause in action here. Faye pulled up towards the end, coming down the court there with her ankle. Not sure what exactly happened there, but hoping she's okay.
Looks like she's getting her shoe tied as well. And she looks to be fine, so good sign there for the Panthers. Is maybe she just needed a shoe tied. We play on nonetheless. Johnson off the iron and out, but another foul. That'll be offensive, so Delaware State gets possession back. See the drive here from Johnson again. Made her first field goal of the game on that three before the timeout.
I like seeing Pitt apply the pressure here on the defensive side. Have a comfortable lead now, but not pulling back at all, knowing that this Delaware State team shoots the three ball really well, and we've seen them come back in this game very quickly.
Delaware State can't buy a bucket right now, and I think there's a direct correlation between the play of the Panthers and when they sort of started that high press as well. It was a really close game for a little bit there in the first half, and they started pressing a little bit more, and they have since pulled away.
Yeah, and that pressure's always tough, right? The half-court pressure. Slightly, they're playing more three-quarter pressure, right? Not full court. But even once Delaware State is getting the ball back to set their offense up, you struggle to get the ball over half court. So coming down, a little frantic, right? Maybe not taking the shots ideally that they would like to take. So I think it's a great job by Pitt keeping that pressure going.
Nice shot that time. Johnson gets her second from the field and is up to 7 points. Pitt up to a 20-point lead. Panthers have made their last three from the field. As felt like this was a really close game not too long ago, and they have just been able to do a nice job on both sides of the ball and really establish their dominance, especially in the second half so far, outscoring Delaware State 12-0 so far in the third quarter.
And this is something that Pitt does very well, right? They did very well last season, right? Third quarter was always their best quarter. Whatever pep talk Coach Tori Verdi was giving in the locker room at halftime always seemed to pay off. So it's nice to see that continuing this year. And them not only having a fast start to start the game, but coming out of second half is crucial.
Another foul called there, and it was always such a funny stat to look at. Is we look it over sometimes, and Pitt would be marginally in the negative point differential for the other quarters, and then strongly in the positive for the third. So it's been a strange anomaly, but it really has continued, and it's definitely a testament to making those sort of early locker room adjustments. I guess this year maybe just sustaining it into the fourth quarter as well. A big part to say, hey, if this team can be successful, playing a full game would be a really big part of that as well.
Of course, especially in the ACC, right? I mean, things are going to happen, right? You're going to go cold shooting maybe for a few minutes. you might be in foul trouble. So it is hard to keep it consistent for 4 quarters, but especially as they get into conference play, if they can keep this going in non-conference, that'll be huge when they're facing some really tough ACC opponents.
Really nice play by Johnson there to force the turnover. Faye going to work again, comes up just short, but once again gets her own rebound and cleans it up. Faye up to 18 points, 13 rebounds for her. She is having a day here at the Pitt as Marley Washenitz takes it away again, going the other way in transition, but can't get the layup to go. Miles with the offensive rebound, though. Panthers clicking on all cylinders here in the second half so far. 14-0 advantage for them since the break. Faye again looking for room and gets the roll in to go. Khadija Faye putting on a show here. 20 points for her, 13 rebounds. And talking a little bit about the defensive adjustments, maybe for Delaware State trying to defend her a little bit. It seems like they just have kind of lacked the personnel down low to sort of be able to stop her on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't really played any help defense on Faye, and you would think at this point with what she's putting on the score sheet, they would bring a second guard over to kind of help, because she's been getting a lot of one-on-one matchups with her size and height. She's going to win those, 75% of the time. So, and I think it's hurting Delaware State too, being in foul trouble, right? They don't really have a big right now in the game that can match up with her one-on-one.
That one off the mark from Delaware State again. It was Nekic that time on the miss. Johnson looking for another 3 here. Able to get her own rebound, though, and that has sort of been the story of the day for the Panthers. Even though they're missing some of those first chance opportunities, the offensive rebounding has been really good so far.
Yeah, they 14 second chance points. That's always good to see on the scoreboard, right? Those offensive rebounds, giving yourself a second chance. And great job there by Johnson to follow her shot.
Perkins. Off to Johnson again, looking for the 3, and once again off the mark. Pitt on a 25-0 run since 4:27 in the second quarter. Stat thanks to Tristan Russell, but it's just unbelievable the body of work they've put together towards the end of this game, because even last season against maybe some of the mid-majors that they brought here, they were kind of letting them hang around for a little bit, not doing the little things right. And in the last 15 or so minutes, as that run is extended now, and they have now doubled up Delaware State, but it's just a real testament to the growth this team has maybe seen in the last year or so as well.
Yeah, and you oftentimes talk about these games, right? You're playing a mid-major opponent. You don't want to play down to your opponent, right? And I'm sure that was a lot of what Coach Verdi spoke to his team about, coming in, taking this team, not taking them lightly, right? They've played some power conference teams coming into today, and just like with treat it like an ACC game, right? And they've come out of the gates, they've played strong. Defensively, I think, is what they've impressed me the most, right? Hustling, going for that extra rebound, and making opportunities for themselves.
Miles opts to not shoot the open 3 there and looks for the pass, and that one is knocked out of play. But Delaware State there scoring their first 2 points in over a quarter of game time. First 2 of the second half.
Yeah, and we look at that take by Johnson. Had a little bit to say after that take there, and rightly so. Really strong second half for her after going kind of quiet from the field in the first half.
Maybe Johnson's not her best day from the floor, but she's still showing the confidence to shoot the ball and has been a real effective offensive contributor as Perkins misses the 3 but gets her own rebound. Huge lane open, and the reason for that was the foul on the floor.
And too, with Johnson, she's on the stat sheet in the rebounding category too, which you love to see from a guard. She's a tall guard, right, coming in at 6'1". So it's nice to see her contributing on both sides. And, one of the youngest ones on the court, right? Sophomore in the starting 5 on the field, on the court now with a lot of veterans. So it's nice to see her kind of settle in.
Another open 3. Johnson from the corner. Misses that time. Another second chance here for the Panthers. Miles that time regaining possession. Malcolm back off to Miles, who goes to Johnson again. Panthers passing it around outside the arc here. Perkins finally drives. The right hand is good. Nice play that time from Bella Perkins. She's 2 for 3 and's got 4 points.
And Bella Perkins, coming into last year, transfer from USC, known for her three-point shot. So it's nice to see her kind of changing her game up a little bit and taking the ball to the hoop.
Really nice pass down low, reaches Rubio Remolar, who's now got 6. 4 fouls for her as well, though, so certainly something to watch.
Yeah, with Faye out of the game as well, getting a much-deserved breather.
Yeah.
This is the time for Delaware State to pick up and try and claw back at this large Pitt lead.
Malcolm, jumper from the free throw line goes. First 2 points for Aislinn Malcolm. Only 7 minutes for her so far, but 1 for 2 from the floor. Pitt lead now up to 27. Their largest of the game. Battle comes in now for Miles here with just over a minute to play in quarter number 3. Nekic to inbound. Goes out to Cottingham. One-on-one with Malcolm. Off the glass, Elmore gets the rebound. Johnson moving the other way now with Perkins on her left. Johnson opts to take the jumper herself and comes up short.
Yeah, I don't love that shot by Johnson there. She was pretty contested. 2 Delaware players right in her face. Maybe would have liked to dish out to a wide open Bella Perkins on the wing.
Nice pass there from Nekic. Going inside that time, and Stewart's able to draw the foul, and she'll go to the line. More subs for both sides. Barnes in for Delaware State while Washington checks in for the Panthers. Johnson will take a seat for Pitt. 23-4 advantage in this third quarter for the Panthers. Pitt shooting 50% from the field, 9 for 18 in the second half. As Stewart's able to tack on the free throws.
First free throws of the day for Delaware State.
Took a while for them to get to the line, and it's a big reason why the Panthers built up that early advantage as well. They are 9 for 9, so they've had their opportunities and converted as Perkins can't get the jumper from right outside the paint. Battle inbounds to Malcolm with a fresh 20. Perkins got some room for the 3 off the mark. Shot clock goes off with under 30 to go here in the third quarter. Laying off to Nekic. Another turnover for Delaware State. Number 16 for them on the afternoon. Ten seconds to go in the third quarter. Panthers will look for the last shot. Battle taking the screen from Malcolm, looking for room in the middle of 2 defenders. Battle gets that one to go. Her first 2 points, and the Panthers continue a strong after into the 6 turnovers they force in quarter number 3.
Yeah, it's hard to not want to talk about the offense after a 25-6 third quarter, but I think it's more the defense that this Pitt team is showing. Very resilient, forcing Delaware State to make bad passes and just, frankly, not even getting enough shooting opportunities to get on the scoreboard.
Panthers with 21 field goal attempts in the third quarter to Delaware State's 9. 60-35 advantage for the Panthers here as they look for win number 4 on the season. Perkins, yes! Her first 3 of the afternoon, up to 7 points.
Yeah, that was perfect execution there by Pitt on the zone defense, right? Working the ball in the middle to Malcolm, to hit it out to a wide open Bella Perkins for the 3.
Blocked that time. Faye there again for the Panthers. Perkins looking for another 3 on the other side this time, off the rim and out. Another offensive rebound for the Panthers, but the follow-up short. This could be even bigger lead for the Panthers if they were just a little bit more efficient on those second chance points down close to the basket.
You're right, Zach, because they're getting a lot of them.
Here's Stewart forcing the contact, and Faye takes the charge, I believe is the call. As we'll get some substitutions for Delaware State as Cottingham comes back in for Nekic.
And you saw there Bella Perkins' 3 ball, which we just got done talking about. That was her strength kind of last year, and so far in this game we've seen some nice drives to the hoop. So it's good to see versatility in her offensive game.
Rebound for Malcolm that time. Washington's called for the travel there. Pass got a little bit inside on her and crossed up her feet a little bit there as Panthers turn it over. The advantage of having this kind of lead in the fourth quarter for Tori Verdi is maybe seeing some of those players take the floor who don't maybe get the same kind of consistent minutes during the normal part of the regular season, one of which in possession right now, dishing up to Bella Perkins, who puts it down. And that player, Battle, who picks up the assist there, someone who we've seen kind of work in and out of this guard rotation for the Panthers, and it's good to see her maybe get some consistent minutes towards the end of the game.
Yeah, coming in last year as a freshman, Coach Tori Verdi talked about her athleticism, right? He saw a lot of promise in the young guard. Saw some minutes last season, and then this season coming off the bench so far, averaging over 8 points a game.
Washington's called for the foul there, wanted the tie-up, but doing the defending there on Cottingham that time as you get a look from the pass from Miles to Perkins again here. Perkins now with 9, started off the bench, only played 12 minutes, but it's been efficient for her so far.
And that's the thing, we talked about this Pitt squad having not as much depth on the bench coming into this game, unfortunately, losing Jenkins, another Kentucky transfer who was leading the team in scoring right behind Faye, losing her in the West Virginia game, unfortunately, to a season-ending knee injury, and then having Lauren Russ now, who's going to miss significant time. So now you have a shorter bench, so to see, it's nice, as you mentioned, Zach, to see this game, right, get a little bit out of hand, get some of those bench players in to build that depth back up after losing 2 key players.
Yeah, Mia Jenkins and Lauren Russ, 2 players who this team was expecting to contribute heavily throughout the year, and you get a little bit of a chance to adjust with life without them, at least this season so far, as Malcolm hits the corner 3, up to 5 points for her. We talked about her 3-point shooting. We haven't seen it a whole lot today, but she gets that one to go for her first basket from beyond the arc.
Yeah, coming in today, shooting 6 for 10, and career almost 40% 3-point shooter. And that's something Pitt needs, right? Especially, if Faye, they're getting a lot of their points in the paint. Having someone like Aislinn Malcolm that can come off the bench and shoot a key 3, really important for this Pitt squad.
Lawrence, as Perkins almost takes that one away. A deep 3 that time. Oh, my goodness. Cottingham, the contested 3 from way downtown goes.
I think Bella Perkins was shocked there a little bit. She's like, I did all I could, right?
Good defending.
Good defending on her, but makes the shot go.
That one looked like a prayer coming off of her hands, but finds the bottom of the net nonetheless, and it kind of is sort of a microcosm to the story we were talking about a little bit before. Delaware State just hasn't really shot the ball as much as we maybe were expecting from beyond the arc. They're 6 for 13, so they have found success, but just haven't been able to go back to it very much. Panthers lead now 30 here with just under 6.5 to play in quarter number 4 as Washington hits the corner 3. 8 points for her. And the Panthers have made 3 of 4 from deep in the fourth quarter.
And as we mentioned, that's not something that so far has been a part really of Marley Washnitz's game. So be excited to talk to Coach Tori Verdi, see if that's something maybe Washnitz worked on a little bit in the off season. So far, it seems to be paying off for her.
That missed her 7th three-point field goal attempt of the day.
And when you're getting as many offensive rebounds as this Pitt squad is, why not?
Yeah. Another rebound for her on the Cottingham miss. Cottingham, the leading scorer for the Hornets so far, 11 points, 4 for 13 from the floor. Malcolm, another attempt from deep here, around and out. Faye fights for the rebound again, but the foul is called.
Finally seeing some help defense a little bit on Faye, right? Nala Abraham in the game going one-on-one on Faye, but we're finally seeing that guard slide over now that they're in the zone. But still didn't appear to be a match for Faye.
Yeah, Abraham picks up the foul there. Faye too much to handle again in the paint for the Panthers. And if she can establish herself in that sort of Leah King role we saw last year, this team has the potential to do some special things on offense, especially. Washnitz. Elmore to the corner now with Malcolm. Drive from her, the kick out goes back to Johnson. Great ball movement from the Panthers as Malcolm comes up short from deep.
If I'm Coach Verdi, I'm not upset with that possession, right? Like as you mentioned, Zach, great ball movement by Pitt there. Couple different opportunities, even on the drive by Malcolm. Maybe could have went up strong with it, sent herself to the free throw line, but being an unselfish player, and then the ball eventually getting back her way.
Definitely seen some precise passing from the Panthers today. As we mentioned, the turnover is an issue last year, and seems like they've at least cleaned up on that in the early part of the season this year. Nice pass down low that time for Stewart, who banks it in with the left hand.
And we mentioned after Saturday's home game for this Pitt squad versus Robert Morris, they go on the road to face Kansas and Auburn.
Yeah.
So some tough Power Conference SEC opponents that they're going to face coming up. So it's really important that they get comfortable here on their home court before heading back out on the road again.
And then, of course, after the out-of-conference play, you get back into the ACC, which is notoriously one of the toughest conferences in the country. So certainly good for Pitt to get those matchups early and maybe get some of those holes plugged before the start of conference play. Nice shot that time from McElrath, a three from her second, 6 points.
Yeah, that was a beautiful crossover and step back three.
Johnson quickly the other way. 16 field goal attempts for her. She's only had 4 of them go down, but 11 points. She's played well defensively as well. 7 rebounds, 2 assists as well for Johnson. 25-6 advantage in the third quarter, but the fourth quarter still showing a lot of effort and not really taking the foot off the pedal here towards the end of the game.
Yeah, and I think that says a lot about this Pitt team. It's hard in these games to lose focus when you have a 30-point lead, but we're seeing subs get in, and we're seeing the tempo continue, right? We're still seeing players go after loose balls, getting those second chance opportunities. I mean, second chance points is 22-6. I think that says a lot about the hustle, and it's something that Tori Verdi, we know, preached a lot last season when he took this job.
Abraham gets her first 2 points on her first field goal attempt of the day. Mentioned the Rookie of the Week award for her last week. Hasn't seen as many minutes today, only 7 so far. But gets a couple points there. Elmore off to Malcolm in the corner, dribbles in, takes the jumper. And off the mark there. Delaware State's made their last 3 field goals. Looking to try to maybe just build a little bit of momentum and finish this game strong on the road. Johnson in transition, getting behind the defense. And she now has 13 points on 17 field goal attempts, the most of anybody in the game.
That was a great pass by Miles there, right? I really like her coming into this game. Another Kentucky transfer, right, coming into the season with Jenkins and just taking ownership of that point guard position and really being a leader, right? Had a head up the entire time, found a wide open Johnson.
Don't look now, Miles 2 assists away from a double-double as well. As we mentioned, struggled from the floor badly coming into the game, but she has been one of the better players on the floor today. 5 for 5 from the field, 12 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds for the Pitt guard. Just a really impressive performance throughout for her.
And it's been a while since we had a point guard. I like to think Deshaunette Harris, right? That was a point guard that we had a few years ago, that Pitt had, a few years ago, that, piled up the stat sheet. And so if Miles, I know she started the season a little bit cold, but hopefully just kind of early season jitters, right? Getting used to a new system. So if this can keep up, Pitt's got a strong point guard.
Miles the takeaway there, and there is assist number 9 on the three-pointer from Malcolm. Just like you were saying, when you get that extra layer of scoring from your point guard, who in previous years the position lacked that scoring element as well, it really adds a dimension to your offensive attack, and I think the Panthers are seeing the fruits of that so far today. Bella Perkins, a nice block there, coming back, and Miles picks up the foul, her first, so no trouble there for her. It'll be interesting to see if Miles does pick up that double-double with those 9 assists. Got a minute and change to do it here.
And now's the time where you're also wondering, does Coach Tori Verdi know that she's approaching that double-double, right? A little under 2 minutes left to play, keeping his starting point guard in the game.
Takeaway that time. That's Biggs into the game for the Panthers. First time she's seen action so far today. Miles, the dish to Malcolm. Off to Perkins. Feeds back up to Miles. Perkins comes up short, trying to get the double-double there for Miles.
By the reactions I'm seeing on the bench, I think the staff is very well aware that she's one assist away. Yes, I was going to say the same thing.
Seemed like Perkins was kind of trying to get that ball back to her as well after she received it from Malcolm, who pokes it out of play here, as Miles will come out of the game now for Battle. She won't leave the scorer's table, though. Verdi having a conversation with her. Smiles on both of their faces as she heads back to the bench finally. Huggins off to Nekic. Now to Barnes, looking for Abraham down low, but Abraham had left the location of the pass. Biggs now. Perkins, then Battle. Panthers in no rush here in the final minute of play. Capping off a really complete performance at home for this Pitt team. Biggs, nice move there.
And you gotta love when you see the bench erupt right like that, right? Freshman Biggs getting into the game in the final minutes and getting on the stat sheet. And that's everything, right? Team culture, team camaraderie. And it seems like Tori Verdi has worked hard in the offseason to build that team chemistry. And we're seeing it pay off today.
Another takeaway for the Panthers. Pass looking for Biggs up court. Can't find her in the final 12 and now 10 of play. Abraham holding that one poked loose and out of bounds with 5 to go. So certainly a game where you think Tori Verdi will go back on film and smile about it. An 80-45 win for the Panthers on home court. And Sarah, a really strong performance for the Panthers in non-conference play, but just kind of building that into momentum like we were talking about earlier.
Right, and of course you love to see almost two players having double-doubles in the game. So that's a win for this team, and they never let the foot off the pedal, right? You talk about in these games,